and a job. I mean, I'd like to know, it is guaranteed 900 hours of a job for PR. I'd like to know how they guarantee those 900 hours.
Andrew Smith, these are agents for the colleges that you represent, and those agents get a commission from your members. Should they be advertising like that?
No, I don't think they should be advertising anything that's misleading, but it's important to remember the agents' work is very important to this industry. What we've clearly got is some people who are in the industry, in the agent network, who are not behaving in a way that they should be.
Go.
I'm actually an education agent based in India, in Chandigarh, and I'd have to say probably 50% of students who come into my office don't want to hear the real story, and they walk out. I start saying, it could take you 3 months, 6 months to find a job, this is where you'll be living, this is the college, you know, giving them a real picture, and they walk out of my office and go to another agent who says, you'll get PR, you'll get a job in a week, someone will be waiting for you at the airport with a limousine to take you to your house. When I've had students come in saying, I want to do community welfare, I say, well, that's my area, do you know what community welfare is? And I've had 2 or 3 boys sitting there and I say, you'll be spoon-feeding an old person, you'll be working with drug addicts and criminals. Do you really want to do that? And they say yes. And I know they don't. But you try and actually steer them into the right sort of course. But
so why is that happening, Gail, do you think?
Because I think, you know, I think there are ads like this out there, and young people, you know, you're 18 or 19, you're, you know, in a country with 1 billion people, and you're looking for an opportunity, and you look at the West and it looks perhaps, you know, wonderful, and you hear all these great stories about Australia, all the opportunities that are there, and there are a lot, if you're well prepared. You know, and
Racy, there's been criticism of your ad there. I mean, I want to give you the right of reply to that.
Actually, I think we recommend the suitable courses for the international students, not only for the Chinese students, but for the Indian students. But our company is based in Australia. We know everything about Australia. We tell the reality of Australia to all the international students. We don't lie to them. But actually, all the courses are based on the demanding list of the migration department.
So that's why you make the link between PR courses and call them PR courses.
Everything is legal currently, so it is on the demanding list. We introduce the courses to the students.
Okay, gentleman up the back wanted to say something. Yeah.
I think that was the most interesting point. It's not just the agents to blame; it's also the government. The way the immigration system's been set up, a lot of it comes down to the MODL list, and hence encourages people
migration on demand list.
That's right, and encourages people to sign up for those courses. And the other thing to remember is there is no quality assurance whatsoever from the government, while there is an Essential Services for Overseas Students Act that doesn't really, anything in there is not really imposed in the sector here.
Ravi, what do you think about the way the system works?
Well, obviously the system has some quantitative definitions. After you meet those quantitative requirements and you do indeed get permanent residency, is it possible to find jobs? Is it possible to find jobs which are appropriate to your skills? Is it possible to find jobs that meet your expectations and that allow you to live in Australia, in a wonderful country, in the manner which you want to live?
And of course that may well have changed quite substantially between the time that people applied to come here to do the courses and the economic downturn changing things significantly in terms of jobs.
It's not just the economics that's changed, the rules have changed as well. I mean, that's a problem that we're facing now, that list has changed. And we have a large number of students who came here thinking that they were going to be able to get PR, who are not going to get PR because they came and did courses, started courses, on the understanding that these were going to be high priority occupations, and the list has changed and they're not going to get PR.
So how much of this system do you think is about education and how much of it is about permanent residency?
Can I just say, Jenny, as far as the modal list goes, the migration, occupation and demand list, hairdressing's still on it, cook is still on it. So all the thousands and thousands who've gone through First of all, it was a one-year course they had to get. Now it's 2 years. Thousands and thousands of graduates of commercial cookery, the hairdressing, community welfare, they're still on the modal list.
But I guess the point I'm getting at is why you're here. A lot of you are here. Are you here because you want to develop those skills and build those skills and get an education, or are you here because you want to get permanent residency in Australia and it's a means to get that? Which of you would like to answer that? Yeah, lady up the back.
I think my perspective is that when you've, in the contemporary Australian context, when you have, in a way we have in Australia, commodified education for something to sell in the export market, it's driven then by a business regime. You know, education has become lucrative business. How the business is promoting, you know, their product that they are selling is the question. Now, obviously, it is being promoted as a pathway to permanent residency. And for that, we need a very strong regulatory regime. I think that's one of the things that is important to think about.
Andrew, I want to get back to the idea of people being promised unrealistic things because, you know, the stories that we're hearing from people who've dealt with these agents, they're saying, and certainly Gail's stories too, that these students have very unrealistic expectations. Now, as someone who represents the colleges that they come to, don't you have a responsibility to ensure that they're properly informed before they spend all that money to come to Australia and pay all that money to do a 2-year cookery course or a 2-year community welfare course?
I think that under the Act, all of the colleges have responsibility for working closely with their agents and are responsible for the actions of their agents. The difficulty, of course, is it's such a large market, it's grown very quickly, that what we know is we've got some very good agents out there who work in the way we'd want them to. What we need to do is, and what responsibility we take, is finding ways to get the information into the students' hands so that they can get their information on which they base choices from the best possible sources and trusted sources.
OK, well, coming up, we're going to look at what overseas students are getting for their money at private colleges. That's next on Insight. Tonight, in the light of recent attacks on Indian students, we're looking at how they're being educated in Australia and their experience here in general. I'm interested in asking you, before the break we were talking about these courses and talking about how you're encouraged to come here, and in fact, given that the government is encouraging you to come here to meet these the needs for these skilled jobs and so on, I wonder, given that many of you are paying, what, $10,000 a year for the courses, what do you think of the courses? How do you think they stack up?
Worthless. They are
worthless. Who said that?
Yep.
Navjot.
Yep. They are worthless. They don't teach you anything. The private colleges, as far as cookery classes goes, they got classes for theory, but practical they do not have any kitchen. Sometimes the college is in the city and the kitchen class will be in Liverpool, which has not taken place yet.
Okay.
So as far as practical training, they do not give you anything back.
Okay, lady up the back, yeah.
If you say they're so worthless, then why do you think everyone's coming to Australia to study? Like, if, you know, Australia is such a good country and has a lot of opportunity. You know, I'm from South America. Like, we came here because security and the studying. If it's so bad, then why do you come here?
Yeah, why they come? Because the information given in India or any other country is so fanciful. They come here and find total opposite. And when they try to make a change, they wanted to move to another college, which one is better. There is a catch with private colleges. They don't issue you a release letter. When a student asks for a release letter, sometimes the student are asked to pay up to $5,000 to get a release letter.
A release letter from a course?
Yeah.
Do you have evidence of that? I mean, can you point, has that happened to you?
I do have, but like a student had refused to give that because they don't want to show themselves in the front of media because they feel scared of their colleges because they exploit them. They say, like, if you do this, we will do this, and we will tell immigration to cancel your visa and sort of things, yeah?
Carl, you investigate complaints from students from private colleges. What are you hearing?
Complaints are abuse against students, threatening with deportation, cancelling their visas if they don't toe the line, you know, not giving them the results, giving them fraudulent education certificates, And in fact, there's a whole network, a mini organised crime network of education agents, some vocational colleges and migration agents to get around the system.
Robin, you were a teacher at a college in Sydney. What was it like?
I could